Welcome to Hunting Home, the podcast where we dive into all things real estate, homeownership, and the people and stories that make a community. Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or just love talking about real estate, this is the place for you. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of any brokerage, company, or organization. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, financial, or real estate advice. Always consult with a professional before making any real estate decisions. Now, let's get into it. Dessie, thanks so much for coming on today. Like we're talking, it's hard with busy schedules and running a business to take the time to do these types of things. So I really appreciate your time. But today, Dessie's here. I'm going to let her introduce herself and her business, and I'll let you do the intro.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for having me, Blake. First thing, which this happens all the time, so I'm not trying to correct you, but my name is actually Dessie, just like
Dessie.
Jesse with a
Dessie.
D. Yep.
Every time I've said it, I'm like, I hope that I'm saying it right, but I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, no worries. I honestly don't really correct people very often, but since, this is being recorded and we're being so official, I thought I should do that.
Good. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyways, my name is Dessie Redmond. I'm an owner, along with my husband, a Fledged Brewing Company located here in Council Bluffs. We opened in July of 2019 and have been kind of full-fledged forward ever since then. Do you want me to kind of go into the background of how we got started?
Well, I just want to talk about what led you guys, like, how did this idea come about? And then, like, what's it look like from you guys having this idea to, like, making it a real thing?
Sure. Well, it stemmed from Marshall. He went to brewing school to learn how to brew commercially. So he's been in the industry for about 25 years. And he went to business school prior to going to brewing school. And it's kind of always been like a lifelong dream for him to open up his own brewery.
Mm-hmm.
He has brewed all over the country, California, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada, just to name a few. And I'm from the area, and we were living in Texas when the idea kind of spurred. And I was like, well, maybe if we move a little bit closer to my family, you can, open up your dream business. And so that's kind of where it started. And we were approached by my brother, actually, who lives in the area. And he was like, why don't we just do this? Like, let's open a business. And we were like, okay, well, let's go see Council Bluffs first. We kind of need to visit there. So I hadn't been back to actual Council Bluffs for a few years. And so we got on a plane, and we met with Paula Hazelwood with Advanced Southwest Iowa. And, it just kind of snowballed from there. And our original plan actually started outside of the city limits. We were going to be kind of like a destination brewery. We're going to grow some of our own hops and do some of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But running a brewery on a septic system is not ideal. And so it was actually Paula's idea to say, hey, why don't we look at some locations inside the city limits?
Man, I would have never even thought about that. I mean, I definitely see like the destination type thing, but I would have never even thought of, like, even being in real estate, I would have never thought about the septic and the access to water and sewer and those types of things. So you guys open July 2019. Mm-hmm. When are you taking the trip to Council Bluffs to kind of check things out?
So it would have been about a year before then, because it took us about 9 months to build out the space.
Okay.
And I mean, I know you're familiar with the area, but it was a complete shell, right? There were dirt floors, no walls built or anything. So the space took about 9 months to build out.
Yeah, and you guys have an awesome space there. And I know Micah Myers, he's with Heirs and Heirs, and I'm pretty sure that they did your build out.
Yep.
So yeah, it's, if you're listening and you've never been there, it's like, it's a really cool space, very inviting. And that's why I like really wanted to have Dessie on today, is because I feel like
with community. Like people talk about like parks, they talk about attractions. Like I think that having things like your brewery are like so important to our community because it's different and it's another place to go. And it's like not just to go have a beer, but you guys have entertainment, you guys do all sorts of stuff there.
Yeah, we definitely try to be a community space. That's always been part of our business plan. We like to be family friendly, family oriented. We do events that you can bring the whole family down to. We also do like live music. We have dog wash days where you can bring your dog, and we partner with a lot of nonprofits and other organizations to kind of make these events appeal to as many people as we can to the community. One other thing that was always really important to Marshall as was writing the business plan, it was having a local worthy cause. And what that is it's a beer called Worthy Cause. It's our amber ale, and a portion of the proceeds go to helping a local organization with what they, what their idea of is what they do as an organization. So,
Yeah.
for example, we're currently working with the Cosmopolitan Club of CB, and what they do is they help to raise funds for people with type 1 diabetes to get them their service dog that like alerts them if they're going to have an episode. So we're going to have a bag toss tournament with like over 20 teams, and you have to pay to be a part, and those funds go towards their organization.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, you guys you're doing probably at least a couple events a month, right? If not every weekend.
Yeah, we really do try to do at least like two live musics a month, and then maybe like another big kind of event with a food truck or something. And then we sprinkle in some like little random kind of things. Like, for example, we do International Backwards Day. What does that have to do with beer? Absolutely nothing. But we took our 712, which is our area code, flipped it backwards, and we sell pints of beer for $2.17. One of the biggest, busiest days of the year. Is it super profitable? No, but it's a thing for anybody can afford a couple dollars for a beer, and people can come out, and it's a really fun event. So we try to do unique stuff like that too.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, from the outside looking in, I think, you'll agree with me is that you guys do all these events, you get people coming in the door, but you also have like a really loyal customer base in Council Bluffs. And I mean, I hate to say the word regular sitting at the bar, but man, I mean, there's some people that I can almost count on seeing when I walk in the door.
Yeah, we are very lucky. We are the only brewery in Council Bluffs, so if you're into craft beer, you're definitely interested in coming through our doors. We do have a mug club membership too, which is like an annual membership, and all the mugs are made locally by a local pottery. He is Winchester Pottery out of Persia, and so he makes all of these mugs, and you can renew annually. And those just keep, kind of like our local big craft beer drinkers coming back on a very consistent basis. And
Yeah.
we
How
do
many,
special events for them and stuff like that.
how many Mug Club members do you have?
We have 148.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and 10 of them are lifetime members. So we actually did a auction off for the first 10 during our soft opening. I think number one went for like $900.
Wow.
So it was pretty exciting to see. And he part of that just for mug number one was we picked a local charity to donate that to. So that actually ended up going to the Micah House, I think it was.
Cool.
But yeah, just for an example, so they renew every year. We only had 9 memberships that didn't open up last year,
Okay.
and only 7 the year before that. So they are very highly sought after memberships for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I know that is, I've always noticed the people sitting at the bar with their mug. I'm like, that is a sign of status when you walk in.
Right, for sure. It's fun.
So I just had a memory come up on my phone, and I'm sure that you're tired of talking about like running a business through COVID, but I had a memory pop up on my phone. It was from March. It was literally like 2 weeks ago. It was like March 2020. And I remember the picture was I had just come down and you guys were like literally, you could come drive up and buy beer
Hmm.
like at the back door basically. And my wife and I had just done that, and I like took a picture of the beer, and I was like, then it rang a bell. I'm like, I remember doing that. I remember you guys trying to promote that, and then you were delivering it too, right?
We were, yep.
Yeah. So what'd that look like?
So, I haven't talked about COVID for a while, and there was a point in my life where I was like, I'm not even going to talk about it anymore because it's
Yeah.
like all you talked about, right, during that period of time. But, I was thinking about it today as I was kind of like preparing some mental notes for this discussion is, what it really taught us to be, and which I think you have to be as a business owner, is to be scrappy. And we learned that very quickly through COVID. Anything we could do to get rid of any sort of expense, we cut out of our budget. Anything that we could go after, we went after a couple grants. We went after. So it just taught you how to really be a scrappy business owner. And I'm not sure we would have learned that lesson so early on, without kind of the hardships that came with COVID.
Yeah. That's what I was just going to ask you, is like, as hard as those times were to run a small business, especially literally just getting off the ground, is like, do you think that it like really excelled your growth actually because of what you learned from it?
I think it did. I think it maybe didn't excel it, but it taught us how to excel it in the
Yeah.
future. And it also taught us like Council Bluffs is a cool place. Like we had folks like you who had never maybe well, you never been to a brewery in Council Bluffs because there wasn't one, but we had you guys coming by, and we had a ton of support from the community. So that's kind of the two main things that I think it taught us. Um, but that being said, I never want to go back. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
And you
point.
know what? I was also thinking y'all had your rehearsal dinner at the brewery.
We did. And that was also in 2020.
Right. Yes, I remember that. And we had
Yeah.
a little malfunction with the TV or something, and you were
Ye
like so cool about it. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. We don't get too worked up about that stuff. No, that's funny. I was gonna mention, we did have that there, and that worked so well, and it's funny that that's been that long ago.
Mhm.
Um, but, and we had, speaking of another small businesses, we had the Barbecue Brothers,
Yeah.
who were over in the old famous Dave's at the time at the kitchen council,
Right.
and you recommended them. You're like, because we're like, hey, we just want to have like a low key thing. We're not trying to have this like, extravagant wedding rehearsal dinner. And you're like, well, try these guys. So we went over there, taste tested. It was,
Mhm.
unbelievable. And it's just funny, 5 years later, they now have some brick and mortar, and
Yeah.
and they're another small business that's done well and has grown, and it's just all connected.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you for supporting small businesses. I can say that we very much appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So what does the day-to-day operation look like? I mean, you guys have staff, you guys are brewing beer. One thing I was thinking about is it's hard enough to run and operate a business and be profitable. But then you guys also have the other side is like your beer also has to taste good.
Mhm.
So what's that look like, and how does that all come together?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, your business doesn't close after 5 p.m. I'll tell you that. And it doesn't close, it doesn't open at
Just get
8.
started, right?
Yeah, right. So it's a lot. I will say that. Marshall is here pretty much all of the time. And I'm not like exaggerating, and I've learned that I can't fight that battle anymore. I just have to let him do his thing. But we have a full-time brewer that when Marshall was trying to do run the business and be the brewer, it was a little too much. And so we hired our first kind of full-time person to come in and brew beer. So he brews probably 2 to 3 times a week, just depending on time of year, really. Like we're starting to amp up where our distribution will grow quite significantly here as the warmer months come up. And so we have one full-time brewer, Marshall's here full-time, and then we have like 9 part-time staff and then a part-time salesperson.
Okay.
So 9 beer tenders. And what is tremendous is we have awesome people that work for us. Like if I would go to battle for any of them, they are truly, they're you can depend on them to show up. You can depend on them to keep themselves busy, and they're just loyal to the brand. They're loyal to craft beer, and I think having that and just communicating with folks is really how we get by. And we have about 1 million to-do lists, so just add it to the list. When you can mark 5 off, take them off. But it's just kind of this reoccurring to-do list to keep everything flowing pretty smooth.
So you're operating the tap room, so you have staff there. Um, you have people coming in, you're running events, and then you're also distributing beer. And so you're distributing it, locally, like at different bars and restaurants, but you're also canning and distributing elsewhere, correct?
Yeah, we are river to river now in Iowa. So we are all the way on the other side of the state, which just happened about a year ago, actually. And so that's how we grow our business, is we find additional distributors to get our product into other markets. But yeah, we can. So you'll find our beer in Hy-Vees and fairways and stuff like that. And then obviously our tap handles throughout the state of Iowa and into Nebraska as well. We actually hopped the other side of the river first before signing with the Iowa distributor.
Okay. So have you guys just been randomly traveling around and gone in a place and seen your handle somewhere?
Yes, it's
That's
really cool.
that's got to be a great feeling.
It is. It definitely, makes your eyes just all shiny and bright, and
Yeah.
it is a very cool feeling, especially when you're on the other side of the state, or somebody sends you a picture from North Platte and like you're in North Platte, like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so cool. So,
That's cool. I know I sent you a picture
oh,
this fall, but we had some friends get married in North Carolina, and I just walked outside and they had a kegerator outside and your handle was on it. I'm like, what the hell? And then I
yes.
put together and I was like, okay, the bride's parents are frequent flyers at Full Fledged,
Hmm.
and they bought a handle for the groom, and so that was cool.
Yeah.
We just walked into their house and it was there, and I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Yes, I remember that. You sent me like a little video and I was like started to tear up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's like, I mean, I equate that to like being a musician and hearing your song on the radio.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yes. Um,
So the distribution piece, like, is that becoming the like a majority of your business and like your revenue?
um, no, I wouldn't say yet, but
Okay.
that would be hopeful. Hopefully we keep adding more states. But like our biggest profit is when we pour a pint in the tap room, or
Okay.
we pour it out of our, tap handles and give it to a person just across the bar. That's going to be where we have our highest profit margin. Obviously when you sign with the distributor, they take their cut. So
Yeah.
it's a third person party. But how we grow eventually, hopefully our sales of distribution will be more and more and more.
Cool.
Thinking about buying or selling a home? I've got you covered. I've put together a free seller guide and buyer guide to help you navigate the process with confidence. Whether you're a first time buyer or a seasoned homeowner, these guides are packed with tips, insights, and what to expect every step of the way. You can download them right now by clicking the link in my bio on Instagram, or just reach out and I'll send them your way. While you're at it, be sure to follow me on social media and check out my website for more real estate tips and updates.
So what's the future look like for Full Fledged? Obviously, try to grow that distribution, but what's your vision?
Yep. We are very lucky to have Marshall on the team because he had worked in so many breweries that he kind of knew the exact layout of what he wanted to do. So, like, our tap room, our brewery, we can still add more tanks in there without having to like do any sort of major infrastructure. And we're probably about we're probably about half capacity. So we can continue to brew a lot more beer without having to do any sort of major work. But eventually we hope to have more tanks, bigger tanks, which would be, going across the space next door. It's currently vacant. Will it be vacant forever? No, probably not. So we just kind of have to cross our fingers on that one. But also, so we just signed with another Iowa distributor. I think they picked up their first order today.
Okay.
So we'll be just trying to work with more distributors and trying to get our product. Luckily, Marshall makes a great product. So they've won over 30 international beer awards, which is a pretty big deal. They're very competitive. I'm not sure if you've heard of like the World Beer Cup or anything like that, but basically what it entails is at least 150 different breweries from all over the world basically packaging their product and sending it in and getting judged by pretty high up. They're called cicerones. And so they test all these beers and blindly, and then they rate them. And then, there's gold, silver, bronze medals. And so the guys have won over 30 of those just in they just started submitting them in 2002 too. So just the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
What's
that helps grow your product. When you have a good product, that helps.
Well, I imagine like, especially when you get into those like really serious beer communities, when you start winning those awards, then people will come find you because they want your product. So is the Barbarian, is that the most popular?
Our most popular is actually Council's Kolsch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But Floyd is pretty consistently second or third. Our Worthy Cause Amber, because we partner too with so many organizations, so they're always coming in and drinking it. And then we have a really, really good hef, a German style hef that if you're into hefs, people are blown away by it every time they try it. It's just like, this feels like I'm back in Germany. So
yeah, I think I'm a Floyd the Barbarian guy, usually Bloody Barbarian when you got it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the season for the Worthy Cause.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've tried the hef. I might have to try that next. I'm getting thirsty talking about it. But so how do you guys handle like sourcing all of your ingredients?
Marshall, he does all of that. He mostly gets, hops from the northwest area, and then he has a particular for his adjuncts. He has a company that he sources most of those from, and so he is making orders at least on a weekly basis. The fruit that they put in, like the Bloody Barbarian, and we always do fresh pureed fruit. It's never like, fake fruit. You can always tell in a beer when your beer smells like cough syrup, that is not real fruit. Do not drink it.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. So there is a lot of ordering. And then kind of like on my side of the things, I like order, like our cleaning supplies and like we have random things like pretzels and pop and all the things it takes to keep the tap room kind of up and going.
Yeah. Did you guys recently start doing serving other drinks besides beer?
We did. We recently started serving spirits, and we have these little higher end cocktail mixes. So one reason why our staff love to work here is because it's not like, you're not sitting here making a martini. You're pouring a beer and you're giving it to the customer. So we wanted to keep it pretty simple for them. But we have like an old fashioned mix, like a mule mix, and these are a little bit higher end cocktail mixes, but it's literally putting the liquor in and then adding the mix. So you're not like having to mix multiple ingredients.
Yeah. Well, that has to help with I'm assuming you did that because of your clientele. And like, for me, like I know there's like I can go drink a beer and be fine and not have anything else. But I know there's some people are like, I'd love to go sit down with you and have a drink, but I'm not really a craft beer person. So I'd have
Yes,
to help having that option, right?
absolutely. So the another good thing from COVID is the law actually kind of changed. Before, breweries could only brew a certain percentage of liquor. And now they changed it to where we can carry, any percentage after COVID. I think they're just trying to help small businesses, take a little bit of the red tape off. But we were a little hesitant because, we have this image of being a community space, and we
Hmm.
didn't want that to change with the sale of spirits. But ultimately, what you just said is it just appeals to more people, and we have to do that. You have to change as a business. If you want to grow, you have to listen to what people are saying. And we just have big groups that come in, like people who rent the event room. Like, there might be 30% of those people that don't even drink craft beer, and so they're maybe going to hang out for a little bit and then leave. We
Yeah.
want them to stay and hang out with us. So, and it's gone over very well. We are not looking back after adding the spirits.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine, especially with your location next to the Mid America Center and like people just coming through in like big groups, like especially with like youth athletic events and those things, you get the parents come in and they just want a little bit more of a variety.
Yes, it is definitely appealing to the cheer moms.
So the other thing I was thinking about is like how much trial and error is there when you're trying to come up with um, a new beer. I mean, once you get something dialed in, I could see you're pretty dialed in. But like, if you're trying to make something new, what's the trial and error look like?
So, in our brew, we have a 15-barrel brew house, and we have kind of like a really small tank that they can kind of experiment with. So they'll do that. They'll make a couple small batches. I'm sure you've seen us, where we're like, well, we don't want to make a full batch of this beer
Hmm.
because maybe people won't like it. So we make a small batch, and if they like it, then they'll brew a full batch of it.
Yeah,
So we have it set up to where we can kind of do like a test run. Um, and but the guys will Mac and Marshall will like sit down and like try to develop a recipe, pull hops from this part of the country, pull hops from that, smell them, and like, yeah, so they have a system where they're developing recipes.
that's cool. I imagine the more you do, I mean, for those guys, the more you do, kind of what to expect when you're getting your hops and putting things together. I think that's so cool. I mean, you can be so creative, and when you make something that actually tastes good, I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's cool, so cool.
Yeah, that's actually one reason why I fell in love with Marshall, is because he has this super creative side, but then, brewing beer is very scientific too.
Yeah.
So he has both sides, and it just comes together nicely. And you just don't find that in a lot of people. And so he is very creative with the recipe development. Not very creative cooking wise at home, though.
Hey, you can't have it all. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So, you guys have any big events coming up that you want to share? Any plans this summer?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we are partnering with the Cosmopolitan Club to do our Worthy Cause event, and that's at the end of this month. And we'll have like a DJ outside. A lot of our summer events we try to do outside. We got Touch of Gray, which is a local band. I'm not sure if you've heard of
Oh,
them.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so they're coming to play, I think, the first weekend of April, and we'll have a couple food trucks, and we'll have them set up outside, pending weather and everything. So looking forward to them. We have Turning Gears, which is another local band that plays here quite often. And then we always do our anniversary celebration, which is outdoors with a ton of like outside games and couple live bands, food trucks, and people really come out and support us for that. This will be our 6th anniversary. Last year was one of the biggest days we had when we celebrated our 5th. So It was it's a lot of fun, and there's sometimes a guy walking around in a chicken suit, which is
Yes.
entertaining.
No, I forgot about that. Yeah, I've seen that, dude.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you for taking the time to do this. I'm hoping that you guys were really instrumental in one of our client events that we had. Gosh, I guess last year we had the white catfish, and you kind of
Oh
helped me
yeah,
facilitate that, and
that
we
was
bought a
fun.
bunch of beer and brought that down. And I always like adding, especially for me, like my business is based on the community. And so like I
Yeah.
like to incorporate that stuff. And so maybe we can work on something together and do something fun.
Yeah, that was a really fun event. You had a photographer, a
Yeah.
lady walking around. I still have that photo hung up on our
Awesome.
refrigerator. Yeah, I mean, you just don't take, as you get older, you just don't take as many. So I thought that was a really nice touch to that event.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll look forward to having another one. And now I'm going to have to find my time that I can make it down to the brewery and have a beer here soon.
Yeah, or pick some up at Hy-Vee.
That's true. I might have to
Yeah.
do that and take them home tonight, and then we'll save it
Yeah.
for the weekend to come down.
Cool.
But thanks, Dessie. I really appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, Blake. Have a good one.
See you soon.
Before you go, don't forget, I have a free buyer guide and seller guide available to help you make smart real estate decisions. You can grab yours through the link in my Instagram bio or just send me a message and I'll get it to you. And if you're enjoying the podcast, I'd love for you to connect with me on social media and my website for even more real estate insights. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time on Hunting Home.